Viewers and listeners' discretion is advised. Due to subject matter and language, age 18 and up is required. Welcome to Embrace, hosted by Coral and Jewel. Coral's mission is to break the stigma and misconceptions in regards to topics that society deems as taboo. Enjoy weekly episodes where Coral interviews various guests on topics ranging from the adult industry, alternative relationship styles, and experts in kink, BDSM, fetish, and more. Get ready to open your mind to a whole new way of thinking. Please welcome your host, Coral and Jewel.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Embrace, hosted by myself, Coral and Jewel. I hope that you guys are doing well today. Thank you again for tuning in. So today's going to be a little bit different. As I told you, let's kind of catch people up if you are a new listener. We used to be the Hanky Panky podcast. I am now Embrace, hosted by Coral and Jewel. I'm all about embracing your sexuality, whichever that may be. If you are interested in the swing and lifestyle community, if you want to try a polyamory relationship, if you have a kink, BDSM, if you are gender identity, you're trying to figure out if you are gay, homosexual, if you're pansexual, whatever it may be, that's what we try to do, is let you be who you want to be. I think that society puts so much pressure on us to be a certain way and live our lives a certain way. And there are so many people that do that. And we all come across people even now, in my life where someone says to me, I should have done this, or I wish I had tried that when I was younger, or I shouldn't have stayed in this relationship. I call it the I shoulda, woulda, coulda syndrome. Okay. So what we're going to do is what I do is I talk to different people about how they can come on my show and how they can share their story, and if it's going to have a impact or a significance on somebody else's life. So somebody else who might be listening and say to me, Corlin, that guest on your show really made me be who I am today. And I want to thank you for that, or I want to thank them for that, or whatever it may be. So I don't have a guest today with me, but I do have notes, and I am going to read to you how this came about and why I'm sharing this with you guys today. Okay. So a while back, I posted that I was looking for guests, like I always do throughout my social media. And a man approached me by the name of Marty Greco. And he said he thinks that he might be a good fit for my show. And we set up a phone call to interview him. When I was on the phone with him, I had a feeling that he did fit what we were trying to portray, but I couldn't quite nail it. And so I said to him, Marty, I'll be in touch with you. I just don't know if I'm ready to have you on the show yet. And so time went on. And then I had a guest on my show that contacted me on Twitter. And if you are a regular listener, you will know that this guest, Doug Probst, had a huge impact on me, and I think a lot of my listeners. This was a man that survived the unthinkable. And just as fast as we developed the most amazing friendship on Twitter and then having him on my show, he was diagnosed with throat cancer, and I lost him just as fast. And I say I because I think I lost somebody who, even though we never met face to face, was just such a fighter and an impact to so many people. And he was such a wonderful person. And so this gentleman by the name of Marty Greco reached back out to me on Facebook with the note with the information of what happened to Doug. That's how I found out what had happened. And again, we developed that connection on Facebook, me and Marty, and we did a lot of reminiscing and talking and crying about the loss of our friend. Okay. And when I was given the news from Marty that Doug had left us, Marty had said to me, do you want to have me on your show as a tribute for Doug Probst? And I said, possibly, we can talk about that. And he said, I'd like to share this article with you. And I thought, when I read that article, I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing. It's pretty touching. And if you don't know Doug Probst's story, I highly recommend that you go and you get a copy of his book. You go listen to my interview with him. It's just it's an amazing book, and his story will just blow your mind. It's heartbreaking. It's awful. It's sad, but it's an eye opener. In final tribute to fierce warrior Doug Probst, rest in peace. More than half a century ago, a Marty Red warrior was born. This was not a job that he ever signed up for. Nevertheless, it was a job he got. It was a job he got for the simple reason for the place he was given birth at. He was born in hell. This warrior of ours, being a mere infant, this was not a hell of his making. No, this was a hell created by the ugliest of human beings, the predator. And it was the ugliest of predators, the male predator. And it was the ugliest of the male predators, the hypocrite. So being in hell, this was something he had to endure. But even as he endured it, it was also a place he had to escape. So on a given day, this is exactly what he started out to do, to escape this hell he was born into. He climbed his way, pushed his way, sweated his way out of this particular hell. It was the strangest thing, however. Eventually, it turned out that he wasn't alone. There were other residents of hell, just like him. They were also climbing, pushing, and sweating their way to escape. Three-quarters of them never made it. They were sucked back into the abyss, screaming to the last man of them, each and every one of them screaming. Screaming, it was needless to say, to deaf ears. That was to say deaf ears to everyone else's ears, save one pair, the pair that belonged to our soon-to-be Marty Red warrior. He heard those whimpers, he heard those screams, and always and forever they would haunt his wakings and his sleeping hours. Yet our Marty Red hero still tried to escape, climbing like everyone else, pushing like everyone else, sweating like everyone else, bleeding. Everyone else was doing that too, and so was he. Unlike everyone else, eventually our warrior found his escape. There it was, at the light at the end of his destination. Straining, straining, straining like he never had before, he willed himself toward that light, knowing that escape was within reach. 30 yards, 20 yards, 10 yards, and at last he finally made it. Praise were his, awards were his, accolades were his. Add to that the adoring and loud worship of his fans, none of which could drown out the whimpering and terrifying screams of those he left behind. So he stood back and he thought, and quite deliberately went back into the jaws of hell. Here he extended his hand out and pulled out each and every surviving member he could find down there, pulling them to safety. And yet, even that wasn't enough. Without a moment of hesitation, our warrior asked for an axe, and eventually, without a second hesitation, he demanded one. No one could understand why this request was given. Nevertheless, it was obeyed anyway. Once again, he went back into the jaws of hell, and this time it was to destroy it. There he was, destroying the very portals of hell, which this man spent his entire life, tears stinging his eyes every second of the way. Eventually, this hell was destroyed, shattered beyond appearance. There, our warrior finally spoke out. I destroyed this place. No one, praise God, no one will have to endure it again. Unfortunately, the fumes of this place, not to mention the unbelievable force the action took, left our warrior positively defenseless. He finally died soon after that. Oh God, please rest in peace, buddy. There is not a person on earth who deserves it more than you. You are the main reason why I will make it to heaven, buddy. I have, do, and will always love you. Marty Greco, November 2022. P.S. Our crazy friendship will never be over. And when you read Doug's story, he was a fighter. And you see the influences that he's had on Marty. Marty's a fighter.
So then Marty asked me if he could be on the show again. And I said, because he's not a porn star, he's not a therapist, he's not, any BDSM trainer or instructor. And so I said, send me some information about you.
This is what he sent to me, okay? Well, I never married, thank God. The strange thing about me in high school is that you might notice how horny I am as a gay male. In high school, I was just as horny as a straight male. Although looking back at it, being a straight, horny male was really a cover-up. No one in my family really likes that I'm gay. No one hates it too much. Just no one likes it. I admitted to liking males in 1992, after I graduated from high school, not before then. Although I believe I had homosexual thoughts as early as age 12, maybe as early as age 8, because I really wanted a deep and personal friendship with Robin of Batman and Robin. And now, with all that I have just told you, remember, I also have and I still do have cerebral palsy. Okay. So any awkwardness that I was feeling as a teenager, double it because of my handicap. As a matter of fact, it helped me though, because I believe my cerebral palsy made me a writer, but my homosexuality made me a better one. For that matter, I have a million other things to tell you as well, Coraline. Meanwhile, how am I doing so far? So I received that and I said, okay, Marty, let's get you on the show. And so I explained to him how I do pre-recordings and how I do Zoom and how I do audio and video and all of this. And we went back and forth on correspondence now of picking a day and a time, where I was then notified that he doesn't have a cell phone with a camera. He doesn't have access to Zoom. He doesn't have access to a telephone that'll make long distance phone calls. And so I was like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to get you verbally on my show to share your story. And I said to him, why don't we just have you just forget about the podcast? Let's just have you do just write me write me your story. Everything that you've written me so far, add to that, send that to me, and I will write an article about you. Okay. And this is what I received from him. And this is very interesting. Hold on. An article? My God, Corlin, that could be fucking better. I mean, I've told you I'm a writer. An article about me? This will be the closest I get to a professional writing credit that I've ever had in my life. So what's there to think about? Shit, Corlin. We will do the article. And so with that, I bring you guys Marty Greco's story, which I think is very touching. And hopefully I have a listener out there and this will mean something to you as well. And I never gave him a topic. Marty Greco, what my homosexuality means to me. This title, by the way, happens to be a play on words on the title of what every high school student does a report on, what my country means to me. But to wit, with my marvelous world of homosexuality. And yes, it is marvelous, giving, passionate, nonviolent, well, to a good degree anyway. And for those of you who consider any of these things up to debate, know at least one thing, which ain't up to debate. We out of the closet queers, we never created any wars. Fuck no. That is all straight dudes' side of the fence. Yes, the world might destroy itself, but whoever does it, it will not be from some guy sporting a nifty little ascot around his throat. I take great pride in that acknowledgement. A question which was asked of me by the very lady who commissioned me to do this piece, Coraline Jewell, take a bow, Jewel. How did you embrace your homosexuality? First of, are you kidding me? But the honest answer actually is, I have no choice except to embrace it. I'm going to repeat that. The honest answer actually is, I have no choice except to embrace it. The more I grow older, the more I honestly believe that I just might be the only man who actually wants to shout out that I'm a gay male. Because it sure as hell is better than the alternative, which would be to shout out that I have cerebral palsy. Or to put it into sub-primitive, not to mention political incorrect language, I'd much prefer to be being called a faggot than a retard. Plain enough for you? What attracts me to a male figure is something else, which there is no debate. I suppose I'm looking for a good big brother image. You see, I had a big brother once, a step big brother, of which he worshipped eventually, or hero worship eventually turned into confusion. A little boy, me, which is Marty, wanted to sleep over with his hero, the stepbrother, for one night. And then at around 11 o'clock that one night in question, that stepbrother attempted, need I finish the sentence? Yet as I said no, and he yielded, looking back, I wanted to say I wasn't worth the effort to force me against my will to do it. Because once I said no, he folded like a used card table, nor did he ever attempt anything remotely like that again. What? I wasn't even worth the fucking effort. That's how I felt. Oh, sure, you laugh now, but where were you when I needed you? There was, however, a group of human beings who were around when I needed them, and who were marvelous still around to this day. They are wanted as of now. As of then, they were not only wanted, but they were needed. This is, of course, the American gay male porn artist. These are a group of human beings that should, but never will be honored at a drop of a hat. I salute every male gay porn artist I come across here on Facebook. Half of the friends that I have on my Facebook page are either old or very current gay male porn artists. Indeed, to cut off a piece of glory for myself, finally, I truly believe it was through contacts that I had that ultimately led to the publication of The Musings of a Narcissist, written by the very tragically missed Doug Probst, a very tortured and yet the very dearest Facebook friend I ever had. I like to say I believe that I might have a small part in that publication. I know. I am responsible for one of the last interviews he did for the lady in question, Coraline Jewell. Once again, take a bow, Jewel. I have ongoing friendships with multi-award-winning gay porn star Spike. Johnny Rapid literally texts me every day to ask, what are you up to, Marty? Me and City Boys gay porn director Steve Shea had an ongoing Facebook relationship since 2018. Once I said how much I loved his work, he proceeded to mail every single porn he directed for the past 40 years to me. To me. If I were to sell them on eBay today, I would probably get as much as $1,000 for them, at least around that. Through the ugliest days of COVID, a gay porn model that went by the name Travis called me once a day, every day, for 2 years straight. Out of the blue, no less of a gay porn icon than Jeff Stryker, yes, the Jeff Stryker, called me up on my 47th birthday to wish me a happy birthday. If you look under the name of Martin Gardner, the profile picture of which you are looking at now, since Martin Gardner and Marty Greco are one and the same person, you will notice that I am champion a porn that is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. Light from the Second Story Window by David L. Allen, who still happens to be alive, by the way. You have talents no one can ever touch, dude. Yes, I swear to God, Jeff Stryker said that to me. I am proud to say all these people as friends, and I mean it with all capital letters intact. And why am I this proud? In all honesty, I think it can be summed up by a conversation I had with one of the male gay porn artists a few months back. This male gay porn artist was feeling kind of like average middle of the road day. The artist confessed to me he never thought of his gay porns as if they were anything. They were devices that one simply got their rocks off. Naturally, I knew different. I began to tell him. Actually, what I told the gay porn artist was in the form of a question. Listen, Mr. Gay Porn Artist, when did you actually begin your career of gay porn? The male gay porn artist replied, 1998, of which I pointedly and very deliberately pointed out that was the exact same year as the Matthew Shepard tragedy. All right, Travis, Spike, Steve Shea, Johnny Rapid, and Jeff Stryker. All right. So with that was his article. And then I said, okay. And so it was very interesting to me because he was so impacted growing up by male porn artists to be able to embrace his sexuality and be able to be proud of who he was. And then he said to me, Corlin, would you mind adding this to my article? It's not that I'm plugging them, but I think that they need a thank you. And I said, okay, well, send it to me. And so he sends it to me. And I said, okay, well, but I don't really see the impact. And then as I read it again, and I said, explain to me the impact of these people. Like, who are they and what did they do for you? Here's what I got. So he said, what I want you people to understand is sometimes you may not think of yourself as worthy. Okay. So this is actually like what, so let me get to this. So he says, one last thing you should mention at this time is not just about me, but I'm doing a story project with a man that I also want to plug. Honestly, Corlin, I want to plug him more than I want to plug the so-called project. Yet here it goes. This can be done in postscript, whatever you choose to do. As of this date, Marty Greco is alive and very, very well. And as of now, he is currently in the middle of preparing a mainstream project with veteran Norman Lear alumni character actor Dino Schofield. Further details when it happens. And when I Googled this gentleman, he also goes by the name of Dean Schofield. And so then he also mentions to me, Marty says, another person that justice demands I talk about is the beautiful and damned beautiful hunky Glenn Scarpelli. Everything I feel as an artist and as a gay male can best be described as the observation he shared with me. Enjoy your passions. Thus sums up nearly everything that exists in my life today, this very moment. For the 15 people who do not know who Glenn is, he was the teen actor who played Alex in the classic sitcom One Day at a Time. As of this moment, he's a damn beautiful man that has literally devoted his entire life to love. A better legacy can ask by no man. Glenn, I love you and I appreciate you. To you, Corlin, maybe this should be said before about Dino, but that is all there is. I love you for doing this piece for me, Corlin. This is the piece of the pie, and it's finally mine. That's by Marty Greco. And I asked him, what's this up with the second guy, Glenn? What did Glenn do? And he said, Glenn, after the show got canceled, Glenn tried to do another sitcom, and then his boyfriend was diagnosed with AIDS and HIV, and he left everything and tended to the love of his life until he lost the love of his life. And to me, Marty said to me, that was for him the eye-opener that love conquers all. So with the story that I share with you guys today, what I realized is that, and there's a lot of stuff that happened last night too for me, but when you don't feel worthy of yourself, you don't feel that you've lived up to the expectations of others, you don't feel that you've been the best that you can be, you don't feel like your life is worthy, you don't feel like you've had an impact, you're wrong. Because every single one of us, you, me, all of us, Marty, we all have an impact on somebody. We all influence in some way, somehow, something that we've done or said has changed somebody else's actions or views on doing something. Just today, I was on the interview. I was on the Ugly Couch podcast. I was a guest for them. And Darth says to me, she says, Corlin, I've been following you for about 6 years, but I was really shy and I didn't want to reach out to you. And I idolize you and I idolize everything you've done and your message and and I don't even look at it like that. And I was just like, thank you. But there's so much that I still want to do. And, there's so many mistakes I've made and so many different things that I've done wrong. And I don't, sometimes I look back on him, and she was just like, because that's how we learn. We learn from our mistakes, and we learn from listening to each other's stories. And that's how I think Marty, who to this day goes to the library, the public library, every day so he can get on Facebook and talk to all of his friends. And it means the world to him. And just me saying to him, let's put your article out there, made a significant impact, I think, on his life forever. And hopefully somebody that's listening, don't ever think that you can't do anything. Don't ever think that you can't be who you want to be. Don't ever, ever, ever let anybody tell you different. Okay? Marty, that one's for you. Thank you for reaching out to me. And Doug, may you fly with the angels, because you made a huge impact on him. You made a huge impact on Marty, made a huge impact on me, and hundreds of others. So thanks for listening. I'm your host, Corlin Jewell, listening to Embrace. Remember, live your life for you guys. Embrace your own sexuality, because you only have one life to live. See you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to Embrace with your host, Corlin Jewell. Corlin is an adult veteran performer, international best-selling author, swing club owner, certified master sexologist, motivational coach, and speaker. Please continue to follow and enjoy upcoming episodes, information on Corlin's tour schedule, social media, new book releases, and more by visiting thecorlinjewel.com and embraceyoursexuality.net.